Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Today, we wanted to walk you through some of the highlights of a industry survey on ITAM we did with one of our analyst partners, EMA. So today, joining us today is Valerie O'Connell for EMA to dive into some of those insights. Valerie, can you tell us a little bit about the survey?
So a little bit about the research itself. ServiceNow commissioned enterprise management associates to do it, but then they were completely hands-off. We did a 20-minute in-depth survey of 255 IT professionals globally, so North America, Europe, and Asia Pac. And the mix of management levels was probably about 20% CIO, C-level, and then a good mix of managers, directors, and VPs. Differences. Where they came down to differences in the IT asset management practices were on two primary matters. One, budget, actually three. Budget increase. Almost everybody had some budget increase with, let's see, I don't have a script here, but I do have some notes. The 83% reported that their IT budgets increased and 33% by more than 10%. So throughout this survey, then we looked at answers against some of these consistencies, like budget increase, quality of service that was delivered. There was a really high correlation between the people who had the more effective ITAM practices and budget increase. We also asked respondents to rate the quality of service that their IT organization delivered to users, as well as to rate their understanding of the relationship between IT organization and the organizations that it serves, the business IT alignment. And in general, people were quite bullish on the quality of service and their IT business alignment. And throughout this research, there was a very strong correlation between a high level of IT asset management data accuracy and both the quality of IT service that was delivered and the alignment with the rest of the business.
Valerie, that's really interesting, and thank you for sharing that. And just for the audience, this wasn't a pool of ServiceNow customers necessarily that was surveyed, right? This was a pool of EMA customers. So we're not. It was a representation of general, company sentiment, not just those that may be more service inclined or ITSM minded, if you will. Is that right?
Pool is vetted for their ability to have a high level of IT asset management visibility and knowledge. So, for instance, to come up with 255 respondents, we vetted a pool of over 3,000 people who wanted to or could potentially participate. And just statistically, some of them would have been ServiceNow clients.
Sure. Yeah, naturally.
Because ServiceNow has good market reach, but no, this was done completely independently. And let's get into, since we're talking now about ServiceNow, the question of platform versus best of breed. Now, we asked this in numerous different questions, but here are some highlights. 33%. Well, first of all, let me back up and say that in terms of whether people said that they had a unified platform approach or whether they were using best of breed, there was a pretty even split there. I think they differentiated by about 5 percentage points, but pretty even split. But one of the things that became very clear in the course of the research was that best of breed does not translate to best approach or best results. So it's a little bit of a misnomer, because here we have that 33% said that best of breed, siloed approach that they were using was directly hampering cross-domain workflows and processes.
So Valerie, that's really interesting. How do those statistics kind of line up to the rest of the survey?
There was a very strong correlation between people using best of breed unified platforms and their results in absolutely every other category, whether it was quality of service, whether it was increase in budget. If we want to talk about benefits received, they received more and at a higher level. So across the board, the use of a platform and a unified approach for IT asset management just results in better results. And that makes sense because so much of it has to be cross-platform, cross-domain, cross everything in automation. And silos are antithetical to automation.
Right.
Automation just slams into it. So
Right. Yeah. And if I'm an executive, I'm only going to give more investment dollars to teams that have been good stewards of their existing budget, right? They have high data accuracy, they're delivering high quality of service. They're delivering ITAMs, delivering benefits to the other businesses like security, like procurement, like legal, etc. So that those correlations make sense.
well, that's true. Business does reward good business practices. So when you talk about IT and business alignment, the fact that the IT group can give a good accounting of how they're using their resources, that kind of accuracy and responsibility is recognized and respected by the business stakeholders.
So, Valerie, what are some of the benefits that some of the survey respondents indicated in the survey?
Some of the top benefits really cover the full spectrum of IT. Just no giant surprises, but this is a case where you don't want surprises. People come into IT asset management for quality of service, operational efficiency and effectiveness, as well as cost reduction and decision making. So those came clearly to the forefront as strong and consistent benefits that were experienced. And that is, without exception, organizations that take that unified approach to life cycle management across asset types, they held a substantial benefit in each category.
So, in the survey, there's questions about asset types by software, by SaaS, by hardware. Is that right? Where people can learn more?
Yeah, so that's something that would be a good time to point people to the research summary. One of the things that they'll find there is we take a look at what are some of the integrations with IT asset management. And it's really surprising that most respondents named at least 5 integrations and 6 named uses of IT asset management information. Security and risk management topped the list of uses, which surprised me a little that it should be top. But it was quickly followed on with IT service and cost-cutting optimization.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We're seeing a trend in that as well with some of our delivery partners, as well as other industry data out there, and it makes sense. That one makes sense as well, right? You can't secure what you don't know about. You have an expanding attack surface, whether it's your traditional IT assets or whether it's your non-traditional IoT, OT, edge type devices, right? These are all areas of the attack surface, and so CISOs have a high interest in IT asset management and understanding what they have, where it is, who's using it, and so seeing that float to the top as one of the number one answers was that makes sense.
Right, but what surprised me, because what you're saying makes sense, but what surprised me is that our pool was not a security pool. The fact
True. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that IT operations, IT asset management, IT service management centric groups are so focused on security and risk management. That was what was a little surprising to me, which just really shows the urgency of exactly what you said.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like they're hearing the demand from their cyber teams at their companies. Yeah.
Right. It's all things involved, but we did ask for what were the top challenges, and this has to be music to ServiceNow's ears because the number one clear winner of top challenge, number 2 was really far behind, is legacy tools that create siloed barriers. It was 10 to 15 points ahead of the follow-on, which was actually a cousin. ITAM tools and processes aren't keeping up with changes. And then the list that followed were all about organizational issues, lack of policies, and inflexibility to track new asset types. But those challenges are ones that ServiceNow plays to ServiceNow's strengths. So even though you don't like challenges, those are good ones to have.
No, I mean there will always be challenges. If there's no challenges, then I'm out of a job. We've solved it for customers. I need to find something else to do. But no, I mean that I think it goes kind of related to the benefits too, right? There's so many areas IT asset management can provide value to that creates a challenge for those ITAM teams to deliver that value. So when you have those siloed tools that have, been asked to deliver that benefit before, but those tools need to talk to each other, those tools need to be able to automate processes amongst each other, right? That's where ServiceNow comes in as that platform to automate that life cycle. And so, yeah, there will always be challenges with expanding clouds and expanding environments and things like that. So yeah, we it's a fast-paced environment. We're working hard. We're innovating hard. We just got an Innovation of the Year award in this area, but there's plenty more to innovate on, I'm sure. So,
well, actually, that's a good point to jump into our last area to cover, which is we asked, and first of all, so many of these organizations report into the C-level, 74% of ITAM initiatives report into C-level. But we asked all right, we've talked about where you are now. What's coming up? What are the changes that you see in requirements for IT asset management in the coming 18 months? The top answer was there's going to be an increased emphasis on cross-domain workflows. That was the absolute top answer, followed by there's going to be an increase in centralization of IT asset management initiatives and higher levels of automation and tighter control over cloud. Then the other answers kind of fall off over there. But so automation, operational efficiencies, these are the bread and butter of IT asset management. And those focus areas are only gaining in C-level attention and requirements. And I think you guys are really well positioned to meet all of those challenges. And if people want to know more, send them to the survey.
all right, Valerie. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, and thank you so much for all of your really hard work over the summer, surveying all these customers, spinning up the survey and all of that, as well as writing the ebook. Really appreciate that. And then for those of you watching, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the ebook to read more about it and the details and see some of the results of the survey we have. The link should be down in the comments for you to read more. So thank you again, Valerie, and yeah, thank you all again for watching.
Thank you, and thank all of you. Bye.